This is Slam Hockey with your hosts, Peter Bojarinoff and Paul Swinbeck. Welcome to Slam Hockey, folks. I'm your host, Peter Bojarinoff. You can find me on Twitter at Russian98, and I'm with
Paul Zwambag. You can find me at Zwambag, ZWAMBAG. Hello, everybody. Peter, what's up?
Stomach's not doing too well, as you know, but it's because I'm trying to get back at the gym, and I did a little, maybe too much hard work last night. I had like 1 or 2 beers, and I was like, no, I cannot drink anymore, so I had to take a break.
You're not going to blame the 7-Eleven burgers?
Oh, I did, yes. I did have now 7-Eleven has the White Castle burgers. So yeah, I ate 4 or 5 of them. And they're greasy, and they're just as good as they usually are, and that might have hurt my stomach as well. Yeah,
no way that's what the problem is. No way.
Yeah, so I do notice, too, and I recommend not eating unhealthy, but I notice it even more when I'm working out and trying to be healthy, because, number one, it doesn't help my running at all. I can't run as hard as I want to if I eat poorly. And number two, vice versa with later on with my stomach isn't doing well either. So
that makes sense. That's why Gary Roberts makes Steven Stamkos not eat popcorn. So
yeah, have you seen those commercials? I like those new commercials that they're doing. They have like Brad Marchand and all these guys. I'm not too sure who is doing the commercials, but it's pretty cool. They're talking about what they eat and what their favorite meals are as commercials. It's pretty cool, actually.
Speaking of commercials, and we are going to be covering All-Stars, so it's an All-Star commercial.
Mm-hmm.
I saw Anjay Kopitar in an All-Star commercial.
Wow. I've seen the Ovi ones, like
a little bit of a spoiler. Kopitar's not going to the All-Star game.
Yeah.
That's awkward.
Yeah. We're going to talk about who is and who isn't going to the All-Star game in a few minutes. But first, Paul, how did we do on our Saturday's picks last week?
We went 8-4 each of us. We had 2 different, and we split those games.
Yeah,
we went 8-4. Not too shabby. Back on the winning side of things.
Yeah, so we're still doing fairly well. So check them out, and we're going to be making our Saturday's picks for this Saturday as per usual. Check them out on our website by Friday night, late at night, and they'll be there. All right, what do we have for this episode? We're team ISOing the Winnipeg Jets with special guest Sammi Silber. We're doing a compare. We're comparing who might be better at competing for Matthews for the Calder if Laine's out long term. Then we got a few trade rumors we'd like to talk about. Paul has some fantasy up and down, and that's our episode. So first off, trending now. Paul, did you see the video of Austin Matthews dancing?
I did not.
Oh my goodness! If I haven't already, I'm gonna retweet it. But Paul, check it out right now if you can.
Okay. Who do I search?
Well, I know it is on Sportsnet's Faisal Kamita's Twitter, so it's on there. It's on a few other people, but I know it's on his.
Okay, on Faisal Kamita's Snapchat.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Oh my goodness, I'm looking at it too right now.
Wow. That's not Austin Matthews.
It is.
No way.
Yeah, it is. It's bad.
Come on.
It is. I don't know if he
looks scrawny.
He's not a very big guy. He's still young. He's fit, but yeah, he's not very muscular. But it is some pretty twitchy off dancing. I might add that I'm a very good dancer, but I don't care. I really don't care. I've read some people tweeting about this and saying I'm not a fan of his anymore. Seriously? You're not a fan of his because he's not a good dancer? Like, what world are you from? If I knew that a guy was blowing goats for fun in his off time, and he was as good as Austin Matthews, I would not care. I would go out and hang out with this guy so he can blow his goats.
Blow goat? Really? Okay. Okay.
I do not care what you do in your spare time. If it's bad dancing or it's, if you're choose a certain person to hang out with, or whatever you do behind closed doors, as long as you're not hurting anyone. Well, as long as you're not hurting the goats. If they enjoy it, then it's good too. Uh, as long as you're not hurting anyone, if you're good at what you do, I'm a fan of yours.
I haven't stopped watching it, by the way.
It's pretty bad. So I don't know. Did I retweet it? I'm gonna retweet it again at Russia90. Yes, I have.
We're putting that in the game notes.
It's gonna be on our website. It's in the game notes. Matthews, I love you, buddy.
Wow.
Not so much you're dancing, but it is funny. What else do we have there, Paul? The All-Star Game rosters.
Yeah. So, how do you think we did with our selections, Peter? Do you feel confident?
Well.
Yeah, you feel confident?
We have Sammy as our guest for Team ISO talking about the Jets, and I think we were off there because Scheifele was so good at the beginning.
Yeah, so we picked him as our captain, so...
Yeah, and it's pretty bad that he isn't even going to the game. That's bad. If we're starting at the top, what is it? There's the Atlantic. They still did pretty well there. I don't like that, and again, maybe it's veterans don't want to play. Some veterans, maybe they called them. They called Zetterberg. They called Vanek, who's on fire for the Red Wings. They might not want to go. They're up there in age. So then they're getting, I think it's Franz Nielsen to go, right?
Yeah, I don't think they do that because you get suspended if you don't show up for your All-Star appearance, right? They do that whole suspension now.
In my opinion, they had to have made a little ask this guy to ask that guy kind of thing. I don't know. In my opinion, they had to, because Zetterberg has to be going, no doubt about it. Or if not, then Vanek, because he's doing really well. But Nielsen, I don't know. I think that's like I even said, you have to pick a player from every team. Tavares is doing okay, but it's his team that's not supporting him to be as good as he can be in terms of points. He shouldn't be going, but I guess every team has to have somebody going, right? Just like I didn't really want to pick him, but I did as my extra man to go there.
It's funny because you didn't pick John Tavares to go.
Yeah.
And you didn't pick a New York Islander.
Basically. I did say if I had to, it would have been Tavares, but, I didn't. I didn't pick him.
And I didn't pick a Devil, which is kind of odd.
And it's, Taylor Hall is going, right?
Taylor Hall is going.
So, and that's a fine choice if you have to pick somebody from the Devils, right?
Is there anybody that you don't really think should be going? Franz Nielsen?
Franz Nielsen's number one. If we're going down the list, the other big one is Jonathan Toews.
Yeah.
If we're going down the list to the Central, Jonathan Toews shouldn't be going. I think they even mentioned him and they asked him, and he was slightly kind of shocked that he's going. He's a great player, but in terms of points in this season, he's not there. He doesn't deserve to be going. And again, I don't like that there's 4 Hawks going, but if you had to replace Jonathan Toews, it would have to be Panarin. He's still playing amazing this year. He should be going. But the other big thing is Cam Atkinson even going?
No.
It kills me. The way Columbus is playing this year, he has to be going. Cam Atkinson has to be, just what are we? Are we talking about height now again? It doesn't matter. Atkinson has to be going to the All-Star game. And I have a feeling somebody might step down or get in, maybe somebody's tweaked a bit of an injury and he has to be going. I really can't see him not going at all. I think he's going to be the number one filler for sure. They have Seth Jones and they have Bobrovsky. They deserve to be there. But I still maybe picked Atkinson over Jones, in my opinion. But again, who you're going to replace for the D position, it's a different question.
I understand they need to pick guys, at least one guy from every team.
Yeah.
But then they pick 4 guys from Chicago, and I think it's because Central and Pacific have that one less team in their division, so they can take 4 guys. But I feel like Phil Kessel deserves to be there.
Yeah, for sure. Kessel's doing outstanding. Even in the Atlantic, you could have taken even Marner or JVR because technically they're in the top 7 or 8 of the Atlantic in terms of players. All players scoring. They're in there. They're much better than some of the other guys that are going. But again, who do you take out? And you got to take a player from every team. So I don't know. Is there another guy that out there, Paul, that you might have put in there or taken out?
I didn't really like the Ryan Suter.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I don't know, he's just not flashy, but I guess
Yeah.
he still deserves to be there because he's a really good defenseman. But I don't know. I thought Shattenkirk would have went, but Shattenkirk's not having a great year, so.
Mm-hmm. Like my pick in the off season, he's doing well. Is Stahl. Eric is playing very well for the Wild. He's very under the radar, but he's up there. And yeah, I might have preferred him over than even like Suter going to the All-Star game.
Yeah, then you have to find a new defenseman.
Yeah, so that's the other question mark in terms of forwards and defense. So, and with all this, it's just, I don't know. It's how many of players and defensemen do you take? Maybe we don't take as many of a certain position, right? I don't know.
Well, I think with the 3-on-3, it shouldn't have to be defensemen. Like there shouldn't have to be 3 and 6.
Yeah.
Like it should be just open. I think they had a tough time picking a Coyote.
Yeah,
and they just went with Mike Smith.
Yeah,
because I feel like Cam Talbot should be there.
Yeah, he's playing well for the Oilers, and nobody out of the Coyotes really has gone above and beyond to deserve an All-Star pick.
Yeah.
So, it's tough.
I have to give you props for picking Bo Horvat. Nailed it.
Yeah.
Well done.
He's playing... Again, like I said, I didn't really want to pick a Canuck as well, but if I had to, it's easily Bo. He is playing amazing, especially for his age. He's doing really, really well, and he's flying under the radar as well in terms of younger guys out there. So he does look like he's going to have a bright future, and he does deserve to have an All-Star position, especially if you're picking anybody from the Canucks.
So from my question at the very beginning, Peter,
yeah,
we went 26 and 18. You had 26 correct and 18 wrong. I had 27 correct and 17 wrong. So we did pretty good.
We did very well, and we made our picks weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
It's been, what, it was like a month and a half?
In. Yeah, a month in, I think. 2
yeah,
months in.
That's almost a month and a half, almost 2 months ago. So we made our picks fairly well, and the ones that aren't there are the ones that have just fallen off that were playing exceptional at the beginning. So some great solid picks. All right, and then the last thing I wanted to mention was, again, if you haven't checked it out, Paul's article on bye weeks. It's a great one, especially if you need fantasy help in terms of trying to figure out who you want to pick. It's on jablamhockey.com under our blogs part. Check it out. But even Babcock, we've already heard him mention a couple of times that he's not a fan of this. But specifically, I think they asked him again, and he's saying that I rather have 4 less back-to-backs, but that's the way life is. In terms of, again, the whole bye week thing is crazy. It's ridiculous. Because now I think the Leafs are even leading the league in bye weeks, in back-to-backs. So it's just way too many. Even I think it was Hextall, Ron Hextall, the GM of the Flyers, calling the bye week schedule the most asinine thing. Basically, the most asinine thing he's ever seen. As the Flyers, just like the Leafs, they're going to be playing a set of back-to-back games before and after returning for the bye week. So why are they even doing the bye week if they have to play back-to-backs, which is even harder? They just took a long break of 5 to 6 games, and they're playing back-to-backs before and after. I think the Leafs are playing like almost double back-to-backs when they come back. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I think it was built into the NHLPA bargaining rights. I think that's why they had to do it. And I think the NHL is kind of giving them a smack in the back, being like, haha, we got you. Yeah. You wanted your 5 days off or 4 days off guaranteed. Well, we're going to turn around and give you back-to-backs. That's what you get. So I think it's kind of a game they're playing back and forth with each other, and it's going to lead to another lockout. That's just the way it's going to go.
That's pretty awful on both sides.
Yeah.
They got to work together, and they got to make a much better schedule because, yeah, I think this is probably one of the worst schedules we've seen. And some people are blaming about the World Cup of Hockey. That almost has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, it has a little bit. It's a compressed schedule because of that.
But they started pretty much at the exact same time as they always do, with October 10th being the day. They never start earlier than that.
Yeah, I guess so.
So that's the only thing. So many question marks and so many awkward dates and scheduling on this schedule is very odd. It's weird.
Yeah, so Colorado, Toronto, Arizona, New York Rangers are coming off of the bye week. They're just getting back to hockey.
Yeah, add them if you had them off.
And the only team on bye week coming up this week, January 16th to 20th, is the Philadelphia Flyers.
Cool. Put them on your bench or waive them if you don't need them.
And then February gets crazy. In the month of February, pretty much all the other teams are in some sort of bye week. I think there's only like 6 or 7 teams that have already had their bye week.
Mm-hmm.
And now in February, it's the rest of the league. It's crazy.
All right, time for this week's segment of Team ISO. We're Team ISOing the Winnipeg Jets. And of course, this is where we talk about more detail about one specific team. Again, last year, you got our opinion. You're tired of our opinion, of course. We talk too much. So now we're getting people that analyze and talk more about a specific team. This week's guest is Sammi Silber. And you can follow her and find her on Twitter at Sammi Silber. That's SAMMISILBER. And she currently writes for the Nation Network, of course, about the Jets, and some others. She writes for Fansided, Hockey Writers. What else, Sammi? The list goes on here.
Yeah, it's a big list. Yeah, I have Jets Nation, obviously. I have Fansided. I have an Edmonton Oilers website on Fanside that I run. It's called Oil on White.
Nice.
I have the Hockey Writers, and I'll occasionally I'll write for the Huffington Post sometimes.
Nice.
And yeah, I'll do USA Today College too. But
how do you have time for all of this?
It's a lot of juggling.
You don't have a life, do you? Like,
no.
I understand that Paul and I don't have lives because we follow my Leafs or his Penguins 24/7, and we try to do podcasts and we work. Paul's juggling life with a new baby and everything, a new house.
Oh wow!
But you write for a bajillion places.
So it's
a lot, and it's one same thing. You're just writing. A lot of hockey. Do you even write for like other sports as well too?
Sometimes I'll go into football, basketball, but hockey is my life. So
that's when you're on vacation. You're just writing a little bit of some football or something.
Yeah. It's my break.
Nice. So we will tweet out Sammy's Twitter account and where she writes on our @JablamHockey, so you can follow that. So let's get a little bit into it. First off and foremost, of course, everybody in Winnipeg land likes to talk about Patrik Laine. Did people expect this out of him so fast, so soon?
There were definitely high expectations for him coming in. I myself was a little bit skeptical. I always like to lean back when it comes to, draft picks coming in. Not all of them are going to be a Connor McDavid or an Austin Matthews. So I was a little worried about the transition for Laine, but I mean, he's unbelievable. I mean, seeing, his dynamic, his play on the ice, his goal scoring ability, it amazes me. He reminds me of, Alex Ovechkin coming into his earlier years, but, better, because he's not only is he a great goal scorer, he's a fantastic skater, and, he has so much to offer in his game. So yeah.
So what else? He's a really good skater. Like, we already know his shot is like perfection almost. I think it could be even better than Ovechkin's.
Oh, I think it is, and
so
that might be bold.
What else is there that he has to offer? Because he is fast.
I think that he, something that I love seeing about him is, his vision and his accuracy. Not only does he have, a hell of a shot, he can accurately, get pucks on net. If he needs to shoot somewhere, it's all right in the back of the net, right where he wanted it. So he has a great, vision for the ice, great on-ice intelligence. He carries his line too, no matter who he's working with on the ice, he's, always one step ahead of the play. he's always able to finish the play. And I think that's what makes him, the ultimate hockey player, especially for the Jets, who, they have so many great, guys up front on their top six that having him there is, just icing on the cake.
And maybe his cockiness helps as well a little bit, no?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then his line mate, Mark Scheifele, his amazing start was crazy. He was leading the league in points.
Oh, it was unbelievable. I was so happy to see that out of him. And, such a deserving player of it, too. Yeah. He displays, great playmaking ability, great passing. And, I think he's, one of the most underrated guys. I think he's a fantastic centerman. Not only is he, great on the rush, he's huge. He's 6'3", over 200 pounds. And he's still really young. So he has a lot of, physicality to throw around, great two-way game. And having him with Laine, I mean, wow. I mean, talk about a duo, Yeah. And he's been, he's been hot lately too, Scheifele. And, I think that the Jets are very lucky to have him. I think that he's carrying the team so far this season. And, now that, Laine unfortunately is concussed.
Yeah.
Just sidelined for a little bit. Don't worry.
Yeah. Do you know the update on that yet, or is there an update? No.
I haven't heard much. That could just be me being out of the loop. Hopefully he's back in time. Hopefully he gets to play in the All-Star game. That's all I'm hoping. But just a really terrible, blow to the head. Not a big deal for hockey players.
Well, and speaking of the All-Star game, how about Mark Scheifele's snub?
Yeah, I hate to use the word salty, but I'm going to use it. I'm not too happy, and I'm not happy with a lot of the All-Star selections really, because some of them, are just names, and they don't really make up for a lot of the performances behind the players. I think that they looked at the names and they were like, oh, this guy looks good. Let's take him, and they completely overlook people like Scheifele.
Yeah, we'll talk more about Jonathan Toews and everything later on in this episode. That's for sure. So everybody likes to talk about those two, but is nobody talking about Ehlers at all? Like, he's playing really well as well.
Yeah, I'm a huge Ehlers fan. I think he's really come into his own, and I think that he has been a huge difference maker for the team this season. I mean, just looking at his numbers, he's second on the Jets in scoring, 14 goals this season, and he is on a hot streak right now. Yep. He's running this huge point streak, and I think a lot of people, they look at Scheifele and they look at Laine, and I feel bad because Ehlers kind of sometimes goes under the radar. Yeah. And people wouldn't know he's on a 6-game point streak right now because everybody's worried that Laine is dead.
Yeah.
But no, he's definitely a huge difference maker, and seeing him just kind of come into the season with so much to offer, and it's unbelievable. It really is.
So what kind of player is he? It seems that he likes to play on a bit of an edge, maybe, and maybe that helps his game, or maybe I'm just talking like Tom Rowe. I don't know.
No, I mean, I definitely think I would definitely agree. I think that what makes him a very special player is, his scoring ability for one, but also his, he has great chemistry on the ice when he's with any kind of player. And, like Laine, he's a guy that can kind of carry his weight, but also carry the weight of his line.
Yeah.
I think that definitely helps his game. And, also, he's just a great guy to have on the roster. He's a good player on defense. He's a good guy to have out there. And, he's only 20 years old, and this is his second season, and he's putting up, great numbers. He's going above and beyond than what he even had to offer last year. What's funny about him is that, if you look at his stats, he's matching the stats he had last season. He's already at that point. He's only 40 games into the season.
Yep.
You think he still has half of it left. Definitely has a lot in the tank. I think he's going to be great. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's on a 70-point pace right now, so that's pretty impressive for a second-year guy.
Oh, definitely, definitely. And sophomore slump, it's a thing to worry about, but not with Oilers, not at all.
Perfect. Paul, what do we have out there for the Jets and their nation with prospects?
Well, I want to talk about a little bit of World Juniors. Michael Spacek started off the tournament unbelievably. What did you think of his game, Sammy?
I was impressed, to be honest. Because when you hear about the Jets prospects, everybody here, they love to talk about Kyle Connor. That's the first guy they think of. Everybody loves to talk about him, but I was really impressed watching him. I think that in years' time he's going to be one of the pickups. He was a 4th round pickup, and I think that he has so much to offer in his game, and I really think that he's going to be a Scheifele kind of center, which is a bit bold, but I'm excited. I don't know. I caught the World Juniors, but I wasn't like way into it. But I did notice that he stood out, and I was.
So you're not an honorable Canadian then, because you didn't follow juniors enough.
I'm sorry. I did get really, really upset at that.
Yeah.
That a skills competition decided who won the gold.
Yeah. Well, for many of the games, Americans, they deserved it for sure, but it did tarnish a little bit of how well both games were played with Americans versus Russia and versus the Canadians.
Oh, absolutely. And the Americans played a great game, but
yeah,
I was sad, even though it's my country.
Yeah. And did you watch a little bit of even Jack Roslovic?
Slightly. Not too much.
Yeah, he didn't have a very good tournament. He only had 2 assists in his 7 games played. I thought he was going to be more of an impact player, but he was kind of quiet. He kind of fell in the shadows.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that the World Juniors, it's definitely a stage, that they put players on, and, they'll either, be, oh my God, this is unbelievable, this is great, or, it'll completely just be a time where, maybe those nerves set in and they don't perform how they, usually do or want to. And you're facing off against, people from all different countries and, all these different prospects that have so much, to offer, and all of them are so unique too that, I think it's either a make it or break it thing in, a tournament like that. So I don't like to look at that too much as like a, glance into the future kind of thing, but it's definitely nice to see when they're doing well.
Is there anybody on the cusp of making the team that maybe could make an impact next year?
This would shift me back to a Kyle Connor talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely hope that he can make the roster. He had, a little bit of a stint with Winnipeg this season, but couldn't really, fill those shoes. He played I think it was like 19, maybe 20 games with the Jets, and he only had a goal and, 3 assists, and he wasn't really, adjusting too well. He was a -8.
Yep.
He was having some trouble, I said trouble wrong. Sorry about that. He was having some trouble kind of, transitioning, which I think is a problem, after you've been playing, college hockey. Some players jump right into it, some don't. And unfortunately, he spends some time in the American Hockey League now. And I think he's starting to kind of, find his game and find where he kind of, fits. I'm hoping he'll come back stronger next season because he definitely has so much potential and he's such a great, forward. He's going to bring a lot to the Jets. He has a great shot. He's always a throw on the ice. He has great stick handling, puck handling skills. And he's fast too. He has unbelievable speed. I just think he needs to adjust for a little bit, and maybe next year is, the year it'll happen.
Yeah. And speaking of blue chip prospects, Connor Hellebuyck is thrown into the fire this year. Do you think he's a future number 1, or is he not going to be able to play a 60, 65 game season.
It's frustrating for me because, I look at the goalie situation, Winnipeg's net, and I'm like screaming. I'm like, what are you doing? Because we've had, Pavlik for so long, and, that era finally came to an end this year when, they just realized it's not going to happen anymore. Hellebuck, I love the guy. I really do. And I think that, he's a great goaltender. He has, great potential, but like you said, thrown into a starter position and put, there's way too much pressure on our shoulders too, because it's either him or Hutchinson, and Hutchinson's, not doing so hot.
Yep.
And yeah, Pavlik, who, obviously no longer a starter anymore. And, they have him right now. You need to be the number one guy. And unfortunately, he can't. I mean, any goalie couldn't live up to this kind of situation. He had great numbers last season. He started around, I don't know the exact number, maybe like 20, 25 games. Mm-hmm. And he had solid numbers, and I thought he was great. But this season, he's finally being thrown into this position of you're our number one guy. And, I think it's a combination of pressure. And I definitely think it's also struggles on defense too that are just making it nearly impossible for him to kind of live up to this number one potential. I really want to see him succeed. I think he's got a long way to go until he reaches that full number one position. I expect the Jets to take a look at, acquiring another goaltender. I don't think it would be the worst option in the world for them. And, I think he needs time. And I think that's what any goalie really needs is that time to transition. And unfortunately, that was just taken away from him.
Yeah, I think he'll be a real good 1A, 1B style goalie for at least 2 or 3 years.
Absolutely, yeah.
Do you think they really need to shore up the defense? It just seems like to me that Byfuglien and Enstrom, they're getting up there in age, and they're not as fast and not much like a top pairing anymore. Mm-hmm. And Tyler Myers isn't showing that well. I don't know if he's been injured off and on this year. Mm-hmm. It seems off, but at least, Trouba's back. How's he been so far since, not wanting to play for his team?
Yeah, I think when I think about that whole situation, it really frustrates me because, I definitely, I'm a huge Trouba supporter. I think that, he's a rare breed. He's a right-handed puck-moving defenseman. Any NHL team would dream of having that. And, I think in years' time, he's going to be, the Dustin Byfuglien who, above and beyond, he's going to be excellent. And I honestly think that the, whole stakeout kind of stalemate that they had, it took a lot away. Yeah. And it definitely took him some time to come back into the lineup and, and now he's on a 2-year bridge deal. And I don't know what the future holds for him, but he's definitely coming into his own of late. I think that, he has great playmaking ability. And I think that's one of his strongest points as a defenseman is that, he's like I said, he's a rare breed. He can move the puck. He's going to be able to quarterback a power play. He's big. He's physical. He's outstanding on special teams. Mm-hmm. You can't get better than that. And honestly, I don't want to say that he's not in the future plans for Winnipeg, but it's not looking good. And I'm very disappointed.
Yeah. So I think Paul and I, did we both project the Jets to maybe make the playoffs and get at least a wild card spot?
Yeah, I believe that's where we had them.
Something like that. But it doesn't seem to be going that way. I don't know. It's still early. It's still halfway through the season. Right. Where do you expect them, and where do you expect them now to be at the end of the year?
Well, honestly, as a long-suffering Oilers fan, I don't really like to expect playoffs. I was expecting close, but not there. And that's kind of where you see them now, is they're struggling to kind of stay in this, .500 winning percentage. I think that they could honestly sneak in there. I mean, they're only 1 point out of the playoff standings right now, and I think they could do it if they turn it around. But after seeing that Montreal, that was last night, that 7-4 beating from Montreal. Oh, that was miserable.
Montreal's playing well though, so you can't put it all on that one game.
Oh, absolutely not. But
and then you have Maurice. Where are you on the fence of maybe firing Maurice? Are you? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, he was. I mean, you look at their of late, it's on and off with them. They're either showing they have one really strong game. You're like, oh my god, can they play like this forever? And then the next game, it's a complete breakdown.
Yeah.
Or it's a complete whack.
Does it seem like he's lost the team?
Maybe a little bit, and I don't. I hate to say that, I hate when you see a coach and he doesn't really have control over his team anymore. But, you look at guys like Laine and Ehlers and, they're really coming, they're up and coming players who are just putting on, a hell of a show out there. And, you have all your big names performing to their top levels, but you don't get that out of the bottom six, and you're not getting that out of the defense.
Yeah.
And I think that's where he's lost them. And especially when you consider, the Trouba standout, I will put that on management. I will always put that on management. It's a front office thing. Yeah. But you've lost that player. And sometimes a shakeup is good, and I'll say that. And maybe it's time for one. But they're right on the cusp right now, so I wouldn't say he's completely out of it yet. I think if Winnipeg sneaks in there, he's got a job. If not, he's gone. That's where I'm going to put it.
Yeah. Well, so it doesn't matter if they maybe or maybe not make the playoffs. The future looks even brighter for the Jets with those few good prospects and the ones that they already have in the lineup.
Oh yeah. Oh, I think the future is so bright for Winnipeg, and I think that they have so much potential. Not only do they have goal scorers and they have top six guys and they have two-way players, they have so much potential. I think that they need to fix some things on defense. Like you said, I think the top pairing age for Bufflin is over. Unfortunately, I'll always think he's a great player. Can obviously score goals. On the defensive side of things, he's declining, and they gotta fix their situation net. But honestly, I'm excited to see the Jets in a couple of years. I think that they'll be a playoff team.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Sammi, for coming on the show. Like I said, we're gonna tweet and we'll post on our website, jablamhockey.com, where you can find Sammi, also on Twitter, at Sammi Silber on Twitter. Thank you for coming on the show, Sammi.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye, guys.
Before we get back into Compare, I did want to say sorry because we actually pre-recorded our Team ISO before we were doing the whole show. And, of course, I mentioned that we're going to be talking about the All-Stars after in that segment, but we did it before. Sorry about that. So let's get into the Compare, Paul.
All right. Who are we comparing? Who are you taking?
So, like we said earlier, if Laine was out long-term with his concussion injury and maybe another injury later, who has the best shot at beating Austin Matthews for the Calder? Paul, you're taking...
Zach Werenski.
And I'm taking Mitchell Mitzi Marner.
You lose with that nickname. That's done. I win.
What do you mean? Babcock made that nickname, or is that at least that I know of?
That's brutal.
He was calling him Mitzi, so I'm going with Mitzi. I like it. It works. I was calling him Mitz because of the gloves and his soft hands. Mitzi is close enough, so I'm okay with it. I like it. So I think he already won the Compare with Mitzi, and you say he lost, so we'll see. All right, go with your Werenski. What do you have to say?
Werenski's on pace for 51 points this season. The past two defensemen that have won the Calder trophy have been Aaron Ekblad in 14-15 and Tyler Myers in 09-10. Aaron Ekblad had 39 points in his rookie season. So,
and how many did Tyler Myers have?
Tyler Myers had 48. So Werenski's going to outscore both of those guys who won Calder's their rookie year. All right. So Werenski's got a good shot at winning the Calder if he stays on pace, which he most likely can. He's at .63 points per game right now.
Nice.
Top 10 in scoring for defensemen.
Mm-hmm.
As a rookie, that's impressive.
It is pretty impressive.
Playing defense as a young kid is tough to do, and he's making it look easy.
Yeah, he is doing a pretty good job. All right. One thing I will say about that is you're comparing those defensemen to poor offensive seasons for other rookies. This year, we have guys like Laine Matthews and Mitchell Marner, who's currently the next best forward for going for the Calder. Number 2 is Marner is playing on the top offensive line for the Leafs. And if JVR doesn't get traded, I can only see them getting better. And Matthews and Marner have only gotten better and better as the season progresses. Whereas a guy like Werenski, after that strong first start, I only see him slowing down a little bit because it is his rookie season. As well, his points are pretty much primarily on the power play. If you look at even strength, Marner is just right after, I think 1 or 2 points behind the top 2 in Laine and Matthews. So even strength, he's still doing exceptionally well. And Werenski is not even in, I believe, the top 25 in terms of even strength points. So both very good picks. I even think Mantha has a long shot of doing well and maybe being nominated as long as he can keep it up because he hasn't played many games.
My long shot is Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah, Tkachuk. And again, it's hard to compare some of these players because they play totally different styles. Like when Ekblad won, he's a complete defenseman.
Yeah.
So his points, which are still very good, he's playing amazing on the penalty kill and 5-on-5 as a complete defenseman at his rookie year is insane. Werenski, I think, is just a strong overall, a two-way / offensive producer and still doing well defensively. But it'll be hard. With such a good year of rookie players, I don't think you can get many wrong. But in terms of trying to beat out Matthews and Laine, it will be difficult for anybody.
See, I think that's where Marner will be hurt because he has to outplay Matthews. You will see that every single game, that comparison. Whereas it'll be harder to compare Tkachuk or Werenski or Mantha or any of those guys that aren't on the ice at the exact same time every single night.
Mm-hmm. But you know what? If you're watching closely, you'll see Marner will outplay Matthews in some nights because boy is he gifted. His that one game, I think it was last game that they played, he had 3 assists and even much more if his teammates would finish. He was amazing. Flying into the zone, a reverse tip pass back to Bozak for an easy goal for him. Such beautiful plays. I recommend. There's not many players out there, but specifically Marner. At least check out his highlights. They should be on YouTube. He has amazing offensive sense and great passing, even scoring skills. But his hands, he deserves the name Mitz Marner. All right, let's get into some trade rumors. There's a few out there, but let's talk more about these ones. Rangers, they've got a lot of injuries, and a guy's not playing so well. I think Klein's not playing that well this year. I think Stahl has another concussion, so I wonder how well he'll be, even if he does come back. So there's rumors with them looking to add a top D, maybe Shattenkirk. I was looking at their team, and Nick Holden is one of their better defensemen, and that's odd in itself.
Yeah, he kind of came out of nowhere. He played half decent in Colorado, but his plus minus at 20 is crazy.
Yeah, he's doing really well this year. And Shattenkirk's a big name that could be going. But again, if St. Louis is going deep, why would they trade for Kevin at all. I don't know. It's question mark, but I know for sure the Rangers will probably add a D. Who it is, we don't know. There's a lot of guys out there. Bruins are looking to add some offense, and of course, a lot of people are looking at Landeskog. There's a lot of rumors with Duchesne or Landeskog leaving. What do you think, Paul? I think there's a good chance one of them will probably be gone. I think it sounds like they're looking to do another semi-rebuild or reboot with younger and faster guys.
Yeah, Colorado is just a mess. They are a messy team right now, and I don't like them getting rid of Landeskog. Like, I think they should move Duchesne. I think they can get more for Landeskog, but I think he's more of a heart guy than Duchesne is, I believe, just by the way he plays and the way he plays, the captaincy, and I would be scared if Landeskog went to Boston. That would help Boston big time.
Yep. That would add another big power forward piece. Backes is a little bit older, but at least replacing that whole Milan Lucic position that they covet. Colorado, I think you were telling me, they're looking to somehow get a top defenseman, a first overall pick, and something else, maybe a prospect for Landeskog. So that's a lot that they want for him. So we'll see what happens near the deadline, but I don't know. I still think one of the two will probably be moved, and he would be a big piece to go anywhere. Bruins and a lot of other teams also looking at maybe Vanek, and he's playing very well, very under the radar for the Wings, and he'd be a great acquisition for maybe a second or third line guy that can still put in a couple of good goals or big goals for a team going deep in the playoffs. So, and again, we were looking at it, and I was shocked. Vanek's only making 2.6. So you don't even have to make moves to make room in terms of adding a guy like Vanek. You would need to maybe with Landeskog, but with Vanek, not at all. Like, for the rest of the season, his cap hit would be very small. And again, it's only 1 year, so you wouldn't even need to make sure he stays on for the team for the following year. So he's another one. And then Shane Doan is a question mark. A lot of people are talking about him. I don't, you know what? And I don't believe it.
No.
Because he's a Coyote for life. I mean, yes, he was added. He was there still since the Jets era in Winnipeg. But he's been there his whole career. I don't see it happening, but I think a lot of teams are asking the Coyotes about him, like Montreal or the Sharks. They want a guy who's a good veteran player, and he's that type of guy you want to add that will play bigger and better come to the playoffs. But I don't know if the Coyotes are looking to do that just because he's been a part of their organization forever.
Yeah, I like seeing a guy play his entire career with one team. But seeing Doan in the playoffs one last time would be awesome.
It would be pretty cool. And it would be cool on any team. But even a bigger contender like both of them, the Sharks and the Habs are both contenders to go deep in the playoffs. So it'd still be pretty neat to see him on one of those teams. But, I don't know. It's just fun. Yeah, it is fun seeing a guy stay on a team longer. And then the Caps are linked to maybe Radim Verbata, another Coyote. And this I see very possible. I see maybe somebody looking to add a guy like Verbata, who's, he's been around, but he still adds a fair bit of offense to any team. Again, his cap is nothing. It's 1 year left, and he's only got bonuses that might hurt a team, but very little in terms of a team adding a guy for the playoffs. So I could see Verbata going to the Capitals or maybe any other team that looking to have some offensive depth going in the playoffs. All right, Paul, do you have some fantasy up and down for us?
Yeah, I got 3 guys that are probably not very owned, so you'll probably be able to get them in your leagues. These guys the past 2 weeks have been just on fire. Sven Barchi, left winger for the Vancouver Canucks.
Yep.
In the past 7 games, he's ranked 22nd overall in Yahoo. 4 goals, 3 assists. He's a +9, 18 shots on goal. That's great production. He's only 7% owned, so a very good chance that you'll be able to pick him up just for the short term. I don't think you need to have him for the rest of the year, but like I've always said, just have that open spot that you can just rotate in the fresh guy, the guy that's playing unreal. And these 3 guys are all playing really well. Michael Frolik, center and right wing eligible, 18% owned, so might not be open in everybody's league, but he's ranked 19th overall, 7 games played in the past 2 weeks, 7 points, 5 goals and 2 assists, 3 power play points, and 20 shots on goal. So Frolik is definitely putting the puck to the net, and he's got 5 goals. That's 25% goal scoring or shooting percentage, so not too shabby there. If you need a guy on the back end, Nathan Beaulieu, with Markov out, Beaulieu is stepping up and showing that he can be a top defenseman, and Montreal's playing really well. He's 21% owned, so he should be still available to most. He's ranked 13th overall out of all skaters in the past 2 weeks, which is quite impressive for a defenseman. So go out and get him if you need to drop a defenseman. 8 points in 7 games and 18 shots on goal, 5 power play points. So he's showing that he can quarterback that power play.
Nice.
And if you want to drop a couple guys, these guys are way over-owned and should be dropped in one-year leagues. They don't need to be on your team. Henrik Sedin, you can drop him.
Wow, dropping one of the twins.
Yeah, in the past 2 weeks, he's got 3 points in 7 games. That's just not Sedin-like.
Mm-hmm.
He's 249th ranked in the past 2 weeks, so just not doing very well. 46% owned, so his percentage has dropped immensely. Yeah. Unlike his brother Daniel, who's still at like 87% or something like that. So Henrik is definitely falling off. And on the back end, if I had Seabrook, I'd be going to get Beaulieu. 89% owned Brent Seabrook. In the past 10 games, he's got 2 points, -8.
Wow.
That's ridiculous. Like that's not Brent Seabrook, and I just don't think he has it this year. So
yeah,
I'd be dropping Seabrook and picking up Beaulieu.
All right. That's it.
That's it.
Perfect. And that's it for this episode. Next episode, we're going to be doing, of course, another Team ISO. New friendly bet. Paul, how are our recent friendly bets doing?
Right now, we did just tweet out on our Jablam Hockey about the Kadri. How are you feeling about it?
All right. He's still doing well. And you know what? I think Kadri hasn't been doing that well lately, but has still found the back of the net, especially because I think the Leafs power play is still doing well. So he's still finding the back of the net. So I still think he's still going to do it.
Over 26 goals. All right. I think he's going to still fall off. I don't think he's I think he's on pace for 36 is what we tweeted out.
34 maybe.
34?
I think it's 34. Yeah.
So
it's going to be close.
He's got to go on a cold streak, and he definitely has that in his game. So I think he's going to be under.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
And then I won the Toronto-Pittsburgh 2.5 over. I wrangled you into that one. And then Penguins players in top 15.
Where is Kessel now?
Kessel, I think, is in 11th, I believe.
So you're still good. I told you. I was trying to give you make it close, but you have the slight edge, and you still do. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that one's going to be close. It relies a lot on the rest of the league, so hopefully I can pull it off.
So we'll make a new one next week, and then we also have our half-season team report cards. Paul and I will have our report cards ready for next week for our Penguins and Leafs. All right, remember, go to jablamhockey.com. We have our games notes. That'll coincide very well with listening to our episode, or if you don't, just check them out. They're always hilarious and fun. You'll see the Austin Matthews thing. It's hilarious. And again, please resubscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes. Jablam Hockey, we're out there. We're also on Facebook. And we'll also have our Saturday picks. We're doing well. Maybe you want to use our picks. And that's it. See you next time.
Bye.